Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Ecoffee with Experts. I'm your host, Matt Fraser, and today on the show, I have a very, very special guest with me, Joseph S. Kahn. Joseph S. Kahn is the co-founder and CTO of Hum Jam, a full-service digital marketing agency headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. He leads a digital marketing team that develops new search engine ranking tactics and digital marketing strategies to achieve top rankings for their clients. He has worked with brands such as Cox Communications, Coca-Cola, and Looney Tunes, among others. With his SEO skills, he creates harmonic roadmaps to get his clients number one rankings at the top of the Google search results. In his spare time, he enjoys playing the drums and is a father of 2 boys and 1 girl. His wife, a doctor of psychology, works with him as his business partner. Joseph, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right on. So today we're going to be talking about how to develop a content marketing strategy that drives multi-channel marketing success. I know that's a huge mouthful for our listeners, but I also know that you have a lot of experience in that facet of marketing. So it's being said that developing quality content is essential for any successful multi-channel marketing campaign or marketing campaign at all, if you will. But can you elaborate how to develop high quality content when it comes to multi-channel marketing?
Yeah. So depending on, the multi-channel part of it, I always look at it in a musical way, like it's like harmonies or notes. So the very first thing that you want to do before you add any other notes or even write the first lyric to the song or anything is you start with the intentions of who you're writing it for. Are we writing a love song? Are we writing, like, who is it for? So the very first thing that we do before we do any content is we sit and that's what Hum Jam means. Hum Jam is where you hum an idea and you're jamming on it until it makes sense. Yeah. That's what Hum Jam means. So that's what we do. We kind of strategize and we hum jam a little bit and go, what do they want? What are they looking for? What's their intentions? Kind of what can we do? So before we create anything or target any channel at all, we have to get in the mind of our prospect. Who are we writing this for? Who are we creating this for? And what do they want to listen to? What is their channel? What's going to get their attention? What's going to get them to dial in? So that's kind of what we do is we brainstorm and hum jam. That's kind of a phrase that we're creating. We hum jam around the idea of the content. Why are we doing this? What are we doing this? Who's it for? Why do they want it? It's a little bit more avatar. They call it avatar, like your persona. Yeah, we're diving into that a little bit and going, why are we doing this? And what is it that they're looking for that we can get in that mix? What can we create that's going to make those connections in harmony, basically? We call that in harmony. That's going to pull that together. So that's how we start before so we throw that idea down that's based on the intention of the person that we're targeting. So we already know kind of what they want.
So do you take it another step in going deeper to actually create those personas with clients in regards to who 100%. You are trying to target? Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some ways you go about doing that? Your process for developing those personas?
Yeah, we first start, and it starts with every client. I mean, it usually starts in the onboarding process, but every time we start a content brief, we want to have a meeting or a kind of an idea meeting, brainstorming meeting about that content brief. And how we go about it is we just brainstorm on who is this for? Like, give me the demographics. Is this to a male, female audience? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they let's talk about who they are. So we want to dial that in, meaning, and if there are multiple personas, we want to identify that, especially in a multi-channel campaign, because you're going to hit different personas in the different channels, especially social media channels. Not all personas are going to be the same in all the channels. So you want to make sure that if you have one message that can match multiple personas, you want to make sure that that message is delivered in their way to reach them.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to think about who you're creating. And we generally put it on a big spreadsheet where we know the channels and the personas so that we can target them correctly.
That's awesome. Do you go so far as to develop what they do for a living, what magazines they like to read, what books they like to read, what their problems are, how much money they make, so on and so forth?
Yeah, but our secret tool for that, really, and I think maybe you or a lot of people will use this, is Facebook. Facebook, the discovery tools where you can kind of look in and pull different That's really helpful for discovering details about personas, is diving into the groups and stuff like that. So we use that to research.
That's awesome.
Not just to advertise. We're like using it as our free research tool.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you ever you can find data from the CRM of the clients in there?
Yeah. Yeah. And we segment, and I know that's maybe potential topic coming up, but we do segment based on different pass through the channel, so that if we find out more data about the person, we'll segment them in our CRM that's sending out.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So
I'll even ask the prospect if they're happy or sad. In one of my forms, like that they have to go through a channel, I'll ask them if they're happy or sad. So I know that the person that I'm communicating to in parts of the channel are either happy or sad.
Yeah.
It's customized even to that level. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's smart. So what are some of the common pitfalls that businesses make when it comes to content development that you've seen?
Yeah. When I saw this question, I was like, oh my God, I could go all day long on this. But the biggest content pitfall is they write from inspiration. And you're like, oh my God, please. Yeah. You're supposed to write from inspiration, right? I mean, yes, you are. But the problem is that your writing from inspiration may not match the actual prospect's target or thinking or whatever. And so I get so many clients, they have all this content, all this great stuff. And they're like, yeah, but I wrote from inspiration. It's like, yeah, but you're not ranking for anything at all. And a couple of phrases that you are ranking for actually have nothing to do with the article. So you wrote this content with inspiration, sure, but not with the intention of targeting the prospect. So that's the biggest thing. People shoot YouTube videos without starting with keyword research, without starting with the intention. They'll shoot the YouTube video, they'll create the article, they'll create the Facebook, they'll just shoot out Facebook posts. They'll just shoot out memes. They're just firing from the hip because nobody knows the strategy,
with no thought put into it.
Right. So, without starting correctly, which is starting with the user intention, starting with that first. And the biggest mistake is people just create content. They're just filling the beast with dirty, terrible, nasty websites and content. It's horrible. That's what we are as search engine optimizers, is cleaning up the web. We're trying to make it prettier, faster, better. The content better, more intention, stuff like that. It's cleaning up. We're optimizing and cleaning up the web is how I see it.
Oh, absolutely. The reason why I got into web design and got my diploma in that, not that it's worth the paper it's printed on, but because the website, the internet's so ugly, and it's still ugly.
Yeah, exactly.
There are so many ugly websites, but that's another topic for another day. You touched on something in regards to I want to explore, which is keyword research. That the first step from what I heard you say was keyword research. So what are some ways, what are some tools? Tell me about your keyword research process and tools that you use or recommend for people to do proper keyword research.
Yeah. So as far as tools, humjam.com/tools, you'll see all of our tools for our agency that we recommend or highly recommend. And on the top of that list is called Mangools. I think Mangools used to be Keyword Finder, and it was purchased in a group of tools, I think. But that's kind of it's the main one we use only because it's very simple. There's several out there that Longtail pulls from the same database, from this Longtail database. I love that it's not the same as SEMrush. We do keyword research with SEMrush, Ahrefs, SEO Power Suites. I run keyword research through every kind of main SEO tool out there, SERPstat, SEM, just to see and compare. Like I'll do a comparison. But the main one that I research with and Hum Jam with, the main one, if you're like, hey, give me an idea on, if you just said, hey, tell me where the search volume is, tell me where the low hanging fruit opportunities are, tell me where that is, I will start immediately with Mangools, because that'll give me content right off the bat, low tail or long tail keywords. And then I can start dialing in from there and adding them to a list and see what the overall competition is, what the overall search volume is. And then from there, that's kind of where we'll hone in. We use other tools to write the content to hone in a little bit. We dial in using Surfer. Surfer SEO is a content tool. So we'll take those keywords and then dial in to Surfer to make sure that we're looking at the competition and that we're making sure that what we're writing matches the intentions of the SERP. Of the search engine ranking page.
Absolutely. So then what are some of the most effective ways to develop the content for the website that you found to be successful?
And so that depends on what content you're creating. What we like to do is, meaning if you're creating video content, I would recommend kind of starting, depending on what kind of content creator, if you're a writer or if you're a video creator. But I would say that you should do a little of both, depending, because you can use the same content in both. So your keyword research is the same for your video as it is for your article.
Okay.
Because YouTube is a search engine just like Google is a search engine, and they're owned by the same company, right?
Second largest search engine in the world.
Yeah, and so your video text is just like your article text. So you're ranked based on the text that comes out of your mouth into the video. So you want to make sure that those keywords that you've researched and is all in your video. Then what we do is we take that video and transcribe that into a blog or into other social media content. So you can use another tool that will transcribe your YouTube video. So you create your YouTube video if that's part of your channel, if that's one of your channels. You create your video content first, because you also want to post that video on Facebook and because you don't necessarily you do want to share your YouTube video on Facebook, but Facebook don't own YouTube, so they don't let it hit the edge rank too hard if it's a YouTube video, but you can post that same video on Facebook.
So you recommend uploading that same video to the same video?
You have a smaller version, you cut it down, you piece it down also for Twitter, or you post it also on LinkedIn, because all those engines are also video engines also. So you want to leverage all the channels. So if you create a video, you can post that video everywhere. You can transcribe that video and then take screenshots from that video. That now becomes content for your social media posts. And then there's another tool called Lately that literally will take that video and create small 15-second segments for your Twitter that will then play those 15-second segments with a Twitter post of that video.
Wow.
So we cut it down. So our Twitter strategy takes that video and makes about 15 different smaller posts that are topically relevant to the keywords people are looking for in Twitter. And so basically it starts kind of with the video content. If you're creating that, if you're creating an article, then you can take that article and have a Fiverr person or somebody, record a video with that content. Meaning if you don't want to get on an audio record or whatever, you can hire somebody to record your YouTube video with your article content. So if you're a writer, you write the content. If you're a video shooter, you shoot the content, but you still start with keyword research and you basically create the phrases and things that you're going to target in your content, whether you're shooting video or you're writing it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And whether you shoot the video first, transcribe it, or you write it first and shoot the video, makes no difference. Just do it one way or the other, but make sure you do it that way so that the phrases are in there.
Yeah. So you touched on something like how important do you think it is to tailor content to each individual marketing channel?
Extremely important. Each marketing channel is its own. It has its own rules. Even spam. So in your marketing channel of email, you can't say free. You can't go get my free stuff. It'll go to the spam box. If you say free and use keywords and spam in your email channel, but you can say free all day long in Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you can't say free in LinkedIn because LinkedIn has a free where they don't like that word in the algorithm because that's a spam word to them. So you have to gear the content to the platform rules. And not all, like Twitter doesn't have the same amount of text that you can use in Instagram, meaning they all have their own content rules that you have to follow.
Absolutely.
Dimensions of the images, amount of the length in the videos you can share. What actually works, because in Twitter, the communication to people on Twitter is different than what actually works in LinkedIn. The content itself has to be different, has to be phrased different. It's not the same. So if you want a big long post in Facebook, that becomes a thread in Twitter. You see what I mean? It's the same content, but it's delivered in a different way. Same exact content. Yeah. You're just repurposing it. Yeah. So you create the content. This is kind of our blueprint that we're doing right now, where you basically start with a Hum Jam. Okay. And then you have the whole channel where you take that same content that's repurposed through all the channels and then it gets scheduled. We automate all that. So it's all scheduled and automated and delivered in what we call the right rhythm.
Yeah.
So you got the harmonies together. We got the whole band. We got the whole symphony together.
Oh, that's amazing.
But now you got the rhythm that's going to go, because the engagement has to be right in time to get the edge rank.
Yeah.
Meaning if somebody comments on that tweet that I was showing my partner yesterday, because I was like, watch this, this magic. Okay, here's the magic. As soon as you post, you're going to get shown in the algorithm. Somebody may tweet or like or comment. Hopefully they comment if it was good enough or the formula was used correctly. If they comment, you got to comment within 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
If you don't, guess what? You lost that wave, that edge rank rate. But if you comment now, all of a sudden, but you got to comment in the right way. Meaning if you comment to Twitter, you got to comment in a way that's going to deliver an answer. Not, oh, thank you for your comment. That's not going to get an answer. You want to make a comment with, oh, yeah, what did you think about it? And then they'll have to comment back, meaning you have to leverage the edge rank of engagement. That's the other piece that comes in here. So you got to get the rhythm, the band together, but you got to get people clapping. That's the whole thing in harmony. And that's what gets you ranked to the top. If people are clapping, people are sharing, people are engaging, and you're on the right topic, the right thread, you're going to rank.
That's awesome. Hey, what about developing the content and strategies for different parts of the marketing funnel, like top, middle, and bottom?
Yeah, and that all goes in this first stage, right at the very beginning. That is in our, if you see any training that I do on YouTube, when we do keyword research, we do keyword research based on top, middle, bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's different based on where you're at as a business. Because if you're a brand new startup, guess what you can't go after?
Short.
You can't go after bottom.
No.
Yeah. You can't go after the bottom. The bottom is already taken by people who have been there a long time. So where do you start? You start with the top, which is the informational space, long tail, where we can get thousands of visitors easily within 60 days, 30 days. But they're starting at this where they're not sure of what they want. So we have to create content that pushes them to the middle. And the middle is where we get them on a list, another channel. And once they're in the middle, then we get them on the email channel, which then will then say, hey, go join my Twitter, go join my LinkedIn, go join. So we take them from the top of the funnel, search engine ranking, easy to do, push them to the middle of the funnel, get on my list, push them to social media channels, and connect all those dots. Once 7 or more dots are connected, they start giving you cash.
Yeah.
That's the harmony. Yeah. Especially if it's in harmony with them. Meaning if you're providing the thing that's in harmony with them and they're like, oh, this experience is amazing. I've learned from them. They've got the solution. They're talking my language. You know, we're in harmony together. That's know, like, trust. That harmony creates that know, like, trust. I'm connecting they call that bouncing in other, you know, the relationship world, which is basically taking them from one platform to the next. It gives somebody a multi-experience of you. They think they know you if they've seen you on email, seen you on Facebook, seen you on Twitter, seen you on LinkedIn. If they've seen you in those places, they think you're reputable. They think you have credibility.
Are there different types of content that you see created that are better suited for the top, middle, and bottom?
Yes. Well, it comes down to like hub content, hero content. And so it depends on the niche. So if the niche is geared towards like instructional, meaning it's very like woodworking or basket weaving or that kind of thing, then I would say informational. You'd want to start at the top of the funnel, and that would be easier to be how-tos, topically relevant articles, stuff like that in that kind of niche. So it depends really on the niche. With where that starts and kind of what type of content. So if it's a how-to niche, video, teaching how-tos, people YouTube it constantly. Like, how do I fill in the blank? If it's a woodworking niche or, you know, basket weaving or even the technical keyword research, you know, how do I fill in the blank? That makes a great video.
What about content closer to the bottom of the funnel? different types.
Now again, we're gonna look at the niche, because if it's like watches, we also have e-commerce and stuff like that. You're gonna want video demonstrations. It's gonna be like QVC, meaning in some cases you're gonna want videos to show off your stuff. If it's watches or whatever, you're gonna go look at my thing. Yeah, video. So it depends on the niche. But if the niche is, say, personal development or coaching, you may not have to do a video. You could write a great article with, there's tons and tons of great leadership articles and stuff like that wouldn't need somebody talking or a face or even a demonstration for leadership.
Or offering some kind of lead magnet, do you think?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or even towards the bottom, what about a consultation?
Exactly. Yeah, consultation. Exactly. That's another one of those. There's many different CTAs to connect all those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would depend on the niche.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then again, that also depends on your research, your persona, what you're talking about, the foundation of finding out what the problem is and what content you need to develop to solve that problem.
Right. And then you can bucket that all in the middle, the top, middle, bottom. And then what are the pieces of content that go along with that?
Okay.
And each piece of content, whether you're targeting the top, keep in mind, to make that the best campaign, you'll want it to be complemented in each of the channels that you're going for. So if it is the top of the funnel article, you may go, well, this only is targeting 100 visitors. But if it's how to create a cartograph, a map in the forest, if that's what it's about and it's long tail or whatever, you need to have an email. If you have a list, you need to have Twitter post about it that links back to it. Like you have to send all these signals to Google that this is a real article and it deserves to be seen. And so the same multi-channel techniques is required on all parts of the funnel, top, middle, bottom. Meaning you'll have complementary. If you create an article, you're going to have a complementary social media, complementary email, complementary everything, even if it's just the top of the funnel keyword. Yeah,
absolutely. Hey, you mentioned that one challenge is it used to be you could use the same image dimensions for every image. And now Facebook is like 940 by 788 and Twitter's 1600 by 900.
I have all that written down. Yeah.
So do you reckon, do you like,
there's a tool that I use, Canva.
Yeah?
Canva. I don't know if you've used Canva. Is
absolutely.
Oh my God, that is the cheater code to all imagery for anything.
Oh, that's awesome.
We create all of our. Oh God, yeah. I mean, if Canva hadn't came around, that would have been so hard. You'd had to hire graphics people constantly. The graphics teams are like, oh man, we hate Canva, but it's so easy because you can easily create. That's what we have, templates that we just modify. Like for the Facebooks, we just modify. And so it has all the dimensions, but I have a cheat sheet. If I'm going to go I'll sometimes get out Photoshop, or I'll be like, I'm going to old school this. So I have a cheat sheet that's got all the dimensions, and that's
okay.
I would love it if there were just one social media tool and it was all standard.
Yeah, I wish they just standardized the image dimensions. I don't know why.
Yeah, image dimensions, how many, the text requirements, all that kind of stuff. It was all standard to be great. But for now, I have a cheat sheet, or I use Canva for all my images, and it tells me what they're supposed to be. Yeah,
that's Canva. Real life,
a lifesaver.
It's just game changers. I was trying to say.
Marketers around the world listening to this call right now are like, yeah, Canva is a lifesaver.
Graphic designers are like, oh man, but hey, it's just to become a Canva expert. The work still needs to be done.
Yeah. So everybody on my team is pretty much a Canva expert, just because, you know what I mean? Just because you had to.
I tried to not use it because I have Photoshop and I still see a need for Photoshop. There's still things I can do in Photoshop I can't do in Canva. But for the most people out there, all they need is Canva. Like most small business owners and it's like, I mean, I'm talking about creating 3D e-cover, 3D lead magnet reports, like 3D, Canva can't do that, but that's what I'm talking about. So, but most people, they're not gonna do that.
No, totally. Yeah. Canva is a cheater code for sure.
Yeah. There was So how do you determine which channels then are most effective for reaching the target audience?
Competitor research. So one of the bigger pieces that we didn't talk about yet, I was hoping that question would come up. So we first start with the user intentions. Okay, so once we know what we're looking for, once we know what we're targeting, whether top, middle, once we know the thing we're going after, the very second thing, the absolute second thing is competitor research. I want to see. I want like the best bands in the entire world. I'm a drummer. I come from the music world, right?
Mm-mm.
You first start learning music by copying.
Yeah.
The cover band, copy bands, like, hey, let's get together and do some Van Halen or some Rolling Stones or whatever. Why are we playing other people's music? Because we don't yet know how to do music.
Yeah.
So if we want to be in the genre of the Rolling Stones, guess who we need to go look at and study? The Rolling Stones. Because that's our genre. So if we're going to play that music, we're going to compete in that music. But guess what? Even if we copy them, it's still not going to sound like the Rolling Stones. It's still going to be original, even if we copy them. So we go out and we want to find the best content in that, whether it's video, whether it's social media, who has the best, who's gotten the most, if it's Twitter, who's gotten the most engagements. Like we do the competitor research to find out who's ranking for this, who's getting the social media rankings for this, who's getting all the engagements for this, who's the influencers around this, et cetera. That goes into our plan. So we want to make sure that if we're creating content, that we're going to create the best content, because we know the number one ranking factor is the best content wins. Google, and that's because we've seen Google give us a number one listing in spite of DA of 95s, and we got number one listings and beat Wikipedia and beat eBay and beat Amazon with a DA of 6. Why? Because we had a better piece of content. Yeah. That dialed in more, and we had some schema that helped us out, but that's for another conversation. Yeah. But that dialed it in though. We dialed into the intentions of the user, of the person, of what they were looking for. These other people missed the mark a little bit. We didn't, because we did the competitor research. We made sure we knew exactly what they were looking for, exactly what they wanted, and we delivered. So whether you're creating the video, you want to deliver. So somebody's looking for how to basket weave, you better cover all the questions. Research all the questions. See what everybody did on that video. Do a better video. One of the better advices that I've got for video SEO is research that video that you're going to create, find the top 5 that's ranking in the top 5, and write down everything in every other video and shoot a new video with just everything that includes everything in the first 5. And you're going to outrank them. Why? Because you did a better piece of content than what's already there. And that's how we
created more value.
Create more value. We're going to create a better piece of content wherever we're targeting. So when we start with the user first, that's now going to show us where the SERP that we're going after. That's going to show us who our top competitors are. And whether it's YouTube, Facebook, wherever it is, we're going to look for the top competitors there, and we're going to target them. Meaning we're gonna try to match them. We're gonna try to sing their songs. Yeah. Better than them.
That makes sense.
We can't always win, but we'll try to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any strategies or tips for balancing the budget between different marketing channels? For instance, there's SEO, Google Ads, Facebook, organic SEO, Facebook ads.
Yes, and I love this question because it's all based on the budget. So when somebody comes to me, and because Hum Jam we do all the channels. Like we'll do the full marketing package for not just SEO. Although our cat's meow is SEO, but the reason why we're good at SEO is because we connect all the channels, and the connecting of the channels makes your SEO better. Believe it or not, that's the magic.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's the secret that people are like, what? Like SEO is not, you don't just do SEO. If you add this, that makes it better. Yes. Adding it all together makes it better. So that's kind of what we do. Overall is kind of overall marketing for companies in general. Yeah. If that makes sense.
And totally. But what about the budget though? Is there any like 10% on SEO, 20%,
right. So check this out. So that depends.
On paid? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's where I was going. So when they come in, we that is determined by where they're at as a business. So we ask, what's your budget? So if they're a startup, if they're a brand spanking new startup, their budget allotment is going to be different than if they've been in the business. Like one of our clients is chuckjones.com, which is Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, that kind of stuff. They've been in the business. Their website is 25 years old. Yeah. So if you're dealing with a 25-year-old website, it's going to have a different budget, different structure than somebody who's just starting up. And they're going to target. So Chuck Jones, all of their budget is spent on SEO. So because they're not a startup, they don't need to do pay-per-click or do Facebook advertising or anything, because everybody they're already well known. If you're a brand spanking new startup, we're going to spend money on SEO. So we're going to divide that budget, and the bigger the budget has to be in the startup. So we always say every business should be spending at least 10% of the revenue on marketing. Every business. If you're not doing that, you're not running a business. You're not advertising. You're not doing marketing. If you're not at least spending 10% of your revenue on marketing, you're not running business. Yeah. Now, that 10%, if you're a startup, you should be spending 25 to 30% on marketing if you're a startup. So if you're a startup, I'm gonna say 10% goes to SEO, 10% goes to pay-per-click, 5% goes to different other social channels. We're going to divide it up, but a big chunk is going to go to SEO for a startup. That's because we can target the low-hanging fruit very easily. Even with a small brand new domain, if we start at the top and create volume in the top, we will eventually push down through the bottom in a quick period, in a 6-month period startup. So we want to start that SEO train cranking right from the beginning with the startup. So that budget has to go in the beginning. And once they are well established, that pay budget, the pay per click, the SEM budget is smaller. SEO, you spend more money because you're creating more content and videos and now building out your content network. So that's where you want to invest your money. But it's not going to be 25% of revenue. If you're in a business 20 years down the road, you're not going to be spending 20% of your revenue on new marketing, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
If you're well established. So it depends on how new you are. If you're a startup. Yeah. And what we recommend you invest your money in marketing wise, if you're brand new, the larger chunk goes to SEO. Now we complement with pay-per-click because you need some revenue. We need some tests. We need some people coming in and testing those CTAs for us. So we also want to, so if you're spending 10% on SEO, we want you spending 5% on pay-per-click or SEM at the same time. Yeah. Because some of those phrases that we're targeting, we can also target in the paid channel to see how they perform. Yeah. To complement.
What do you think about testing the SEO keywords before doing the SEO with PPC to see what kind of results you're going to get?
I think that's a great strategy. We don't do that because we spend so much we spend so much time on making sure we have the right keyword and right intentions that would just be another waste of time. Okay. Meaning that would be like, instead of a 3 filtration process, that's a 4 filtration process. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you can add a 5th and a 6th and a 7th, but eventually you go, but it's still the same thing. In the long run. So I don't test with pay-per-click before I target SEO, if that makes sense. No, yeah. But I know that's a good strategy. It's a good strategy if you aren't spending time on the first part of the strategy. Meaning if you're just testing keywords and not going for the intention of the searcher, you just want to know if a keyword will rank, then do that. Yeah. But we're starting with the heart of the person first. So we're not going to see if it'll rank on pay-per-click first before we decide. Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. Yeah. What's the best way to measure the success of a multi-channel marketing campaign?
Great question. And we insist whenever we start with the goals with our clients that we create the KPIs, those key performance indicators. Yeah. So
that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. That's the juice. And that's kind of, if you're talking about mistakes that people make, not only do they miss the intention, but they don't start with the target in mind. They don't know what the target is. So we don't write any content. We don't do anything without having a KPI to measure it with. How do we know, did we got what we got? People are spending money on us. How do they know if it's working? Oh, you got leads, you got sales. Is that tracked? So we want to make sure that if we're driving traffic, we know how many people are coming to the website every single day. If we're tracking conversions, we want to know what the conversion is. And we set this up, and now GA4 has some really good conversion tracking, but we set this up in Google and conversion tracking everything so that we know the keywords we're targeting, whether they convert or not, whether they are actually making sales or not. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Is that a separate service, if you will, of what you offer? Like if someone doesn't have the KPIs set up and the tracking in Google Analytics,
if we're on board, we're not going to engage with you if we don't know what your goals are. So we know your goal is to get more. So you're either trying to grow or get awareness, you're either trying to engage, or you're either trying to retain. So from a marketing standpoint, you know what I mean? From that particular standpoint. So that's kind of what gears that, what you're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What advice would you give to other businesses who are looking, or to businesses who are looking to create a successful multi-channel marketing campaign?
To basically lay out first you got to know your business and know who you're targeting, but lay out all the places where they are. We have a chart, and you could probably look this up, but look at all the different social channels, even because the demographics are different. Like Snapchat is highly female. Pinterest is highly female, although I know people are. So you want to make sure that if you're a female audience, you're targeting the right channels. If you're so lay out the channels first, and then determine what your strategy is, where you're going to go, where you're going to focus. Because we don't hit all the channels for all the campaigns. There's no need to.
No, there's no need to.
There's no need to.
You need to go where. So you need to, like you're saying, you need to find out who your persona is, who your clients are, and go to where they are.
Exactly.
So in other words,
so like Bugs Bunny, we'll have some Pinterest pictures because people like the art, but for some of our other clients, we don't have Pinterest at all. Now TikTok is becoming big. Like any kind of, anybody who's got info training to teach people, now teaching stuff is big on TikTok. So TikTok now is becoming a part of our channels. It's like, it's like one more channel. So there's not going to be an end to channels. That's the great news. Everybody's like, no, that's the bad news. That's the great news. Why is it good news? Because that means we got plenty of work to do.
And
so we got another target. So we're like TikTok. So then I'm like, who's the demographics of TikTok? Then we're like, oh, I got this gamer niche over here that would be great in TikTok.
Yeah.
So any of my content now that I've got on YouTube that I'm creating, I need to now throw on TikTok, and that's doing just as good on TikTok now. It's like, oh my gosh.
But is it shorter content that does better on TikTok or long form?
Yeah. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yeah. 2 minutes
content.
So breaking some of those videos down into shorter.
Yes. Yeah. The repurposing everything. So the YouTube video, you want to make 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you want to chop that down to smaller chunks. And then your Facebook video, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Then your TikTok video and Twitter video, 2 minutes. It used to be 60 seconds. I think Instagram is 60 seconds. So you got to kind of pick the juicy bits that you're targeting, which is your main kind of keyword phrase. Make sure that those juicy bits have that in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
Joseph,
if you pepper it in there while you're teaching it, if you pepper in that phrase that you're using while you're teaching it, then you can cut those snippets, and that phrase will be in those snippets.
Yeah, that's so important. Using video scripts so that you know about that.
Use the scripts. Just like creating the content, start with the intentions of what you're creating first before you create it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, what is one big takeaway you want listeners to get from this episode?
Start with the intentions of the user. Start with who you're targeting first. If you nail them, if you get in harmony with them, who they are, and their pains and their trials and their tribulations, if you can speak to that, because AIDA is a formula we use constantly. I don't know if you've heard of that. Intention, interest, desire, action.
Yeah.
Attention starts with the heart. So harmony starts with the heart. So if we get, and trust starts with the heart. So that's where we want to target. And so that's the number one thing for harmony. in your marketing is you got to start with the heart of the user that you're targeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sing their song, and you'll have people coming to you like the Pied Piper.
Yeah, that's a great analogy to use. Sing their song and make sure you're in harmony, and you will attract clients, customers, sales, leads, and revenue. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. Where can our listeners connect with you?
If online? They want to connect with me, our company is humjam.com. Even if you Google Hum Jam, we did branded SERPs with different strategies. So if you Google Hum Jam, you'll find us. But me personally, if you want to connect with all my social, I'm Joseph S. Kahn on just about everything. But I have a Snap link to make it easy. And that's znap.link/Joseph S. Kahn. And then you'll see all the socials, YouTube videos, anything. It's on my Snap link.
All right.
Yeah. So
right on.
Cool. Connect with me. I'll answer any questions. I'll respond to anybody. I love chatting and engaging with anybody on the topic. So it's a lot of fun.
Right on. Hey, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You have a great day.
You too.